A convoy of 10 black SUVs slowly rolled up a dusty driveway in Cedar Ridge, engines humming in unison. Neighbors peeked out of their windows, whispering to each other, wondering who could possibly be inside that small, worn-down yellow house. And there he was, Marcus Hill, a tired black father in his late 30s, standing on his creaky porch, hands still greasy from a long day in his backyard shed. He had never owned a luxury car in his life, never imagined such attention, and yet, these SUVs had come all the way to him. What they were there for, and what they would discover about him, was unbelievable. If you walked through Cedar Ridge just before sunrise, you'd hear it, the rhythmic clinking of metal in a small, leaning shed tucked behind a faded yellow house. That was Marcus Hill, a man who looked exhausted even when standing still, yet whose hands could breathe life into anything with an engine. Marcus was lean and muscular, a testament to years of physical labor. His deep brown skin carried the sun and toil of the South, and his short, curly hair framed a face lined with quiet endurance. A neatly trimmed beard hid the constant worry etched into his jaw, and his faded blue overalls bore streaks of oil and grease, a badge of his unrecognized skill. Every day was a struggle. He juggled part-time jobs, patched old lawnmowers, and repaired generators in the ramshackle shed that was both workshop and sanctuary. Bills stacked up on the kitchen table like towers of anxiety. He worried constantly about keeping Maya, his 12-year-old daughter, and Jordan, his 8-year-old son, fed and clothed, especially after losing his wife Renee to illness 2 years prior. Yet Marcus carried a spark. Despite the harshness of reality, he lived by one principle his late wife had whispered to him many times: kindness is the legacy that never dies. Even on the hardest days, he found small moments of joy. When Jordan handed him a cold lemonade with sticky little fingers, when Maya sat beside him in the shed, passing him tools with the quiet diligence, Marcus felt a tether to hope that refused to snap. The morning started before dawn. He rose while the rest of Cedar Ridge still slept, checking his phone for job alerts. Today, he had a lawnmower to fix, a generator to rebuild, and a car to pick up parts for all. While making it to the school, for Maya and Jordan's breakfast, the shed smelled of oil, rust, and wood smoke. Tools hung from every surface. Engine parts were stacked haphazardly, yet Marcus knew where each bolt and wire belonged. He moved with careful precision, repairing, not just machines, but a life that felt increasingly fragile. By mid-afternoon, he was exhausted, but determined, tying up loose ends so he could pick up his children. He glanced at the clock: 20 minutes until school dismissal, and sighed. Bills still unpaid, calls unreturned. Life pressed down on him like a weight too heavy to lift alone. Yet he didn't complain. He couldn't. Survival required action, not lament. As Marcus drove along a dusty country road, his mind preoccupied with invoices and schedules, he noticed a SUV parked awkwardly on the side of the road. Steam rolled from under the hood. A woman stood beside it, waving her arms. Her phone was dead. Dusk was falling. She looked stranded and desperate. Marcus almost drove past. He was late. His children were waiting. But something in him, maybe Renee's voice, maybe his own sense of decency, made him stop. He parked and stepped out, boots crunching on loose gravel. "Need some help?" he called. She looked up, relief washing over her face. "Oh, thank God," she said, her voice trembling. This small choice, this simple act of stopping, would ripple far beyond this quiet roadside in Cedar Ridge. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. The sun had dipped lower behind the rolling hills of Cedar Ridge, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink. Steam still hissed from the SUV's hood, curling into the cool evening air. Marcus Hill crouched beside the engine, sleeves rolled up, hands already smudged with grease. The woman, Evelyn Carter, stood nearby, her arms folded over light blue scrubs. She was in her early 40s, shoulder-length blonde hair catching the last light of day. Her face carried exhaustion, but her eyes were sharp, curious, and tinged with relief. I'm really sorry to bother you," she said nervously. "No bother at all," Marcus replied, voice calm but assured. "Let's see what we're working with here." He peered under the hood, listening to the engine, hands deftly testing wires, hoses, and belts. Within moments, he diagnosed the problem: an overheated radiator and a loose fan belt. "You can fix that?" Evelyn asked, a hint of skepticism in her voice. Marcus shrugged. "I've fixed worse. I've had worse fixed by no one but myself." She studied him, as if trying to understand. The man crouched before her. He didn't look like someone who owned a fancy car, a mansion, or any wealth at all. Yet there was something in the way he moved, confident, precise, and unflinching, a quiet nobility hidden beneath worn clothing and tired eyes. "I've been stranded here for over an hour. Phone's dead. No one's stopping," she admitted. I didn't know if anyone would help." Marcus looked up from the engine, meeting her gaze. "I always stop," he said simply. Marcus set to work, tools moving efficiently. Evelyn watched, her posture softening. She noticed the meticulous care he put into each movement: cleaning the radiator, adjusting the fan belt, testing the fluid. It was a skill born of years, a hidden brilliance that had gone unrecognized. As he worked, Marcus asked gently, "You headed home? Or just passing through?" "Just passing through. I travel a lot for work," she said. "I'm a nurse. I help people, but sometimes I feel invisible, like I'm barely keeping up." Marcus paused for a moment, tightening the last bolt. "I know that feeling," he said quietly. "Life doesn't care if you're tired, or if you've given everything. You just keep going." There was a moment of silence. Evelyn realized she was no longer just talking to a mechanic. She was talking to someone who understood struggle at its most intimate level. When Marcus finally wiped his hands on a rag and stood up, the engine purred perfectly. "Good as new," he said. Evelyn's relief was visible. She smiled, a mix of gratitude and admiration. "I don't even know how to thank you," she said. Marcus shook his head. "Don't worry about it. Just be safe on the road. That's enough." Even in this small exchange, a bond began to form: mutual respect, grounded in shared vulnerability. Evelyn could see his integrity, his dignity, and his unwavering kindness. She realized that sometimes the most extraordinary people lived in ordinary circumstances. Before leaving, Evelyn dug into her purse and handed Marcus a small bottle of water. "Here, you've been working hard. You deserve this." Marcus accepted it, his expression modest. "Thanks," he said, "but I'll survive." Evelyn hesitated, then smiled warmly. "I don't usually do this, but I feel like I owe you more than thanks. Maybe there's a way I can help." "You've got a gift, Marcus. Don't waste it." The words lingered. Marcus didn't often hear acknowledgement like that. People rarely saw beyond the grease stain, overalls, or the modest house. Evelyn had, and that small gesture planted a seed of hope. As she drove off, Marcus watched her SUV disappear down the winding road. For the first time in months, he felt a spark of something new. Possibility. "Marcus, life doesn't care if you're tired. You just keep going." "Evelyn, I help people, but sometimes I feel invisible." "Marcus, I always stop." These lines establish Marcus's compassion and Evelyn's openness to trust, forming the foundation for the emotional journey ahead. What would you do if you discovered someone with incredible talent living in such difficult circumstances? Let me know your thoughts below. I read every comment. The days after the roadside encounter were quiet, but charged with a new sense of possibility. Marcus returned to his shed, tools in hand, but something felt different. The memory of Evelyn's grateful smile lingered in his mind, a reminder that his skills were not invisible after all. Evelyn began stopping by the shed occasionally, ostensibly to check on the engine, but the truth was, she wanted to know the man behind the grease. She watched Marcus at work, quietly impressed by his precision. "You make it look easy," she said one afternoon, handing him a wrench. "It's not easy," Marcus replied, "but it's honest work." Maya and Jordan grew fond of her presence, bringing lemonade or snacks while Marcus worked. The children quickly realized that Evelyn wasn't just another adult passing through. They could feel her kindness. Neighborhood whispers began to stir. Some neighbors were skeptical, raising eyebrows at the stranger visiting Marcus's rundown house. Others, curious and hopeful, began greeting him with small nods, encouraging words, or borrowed tools. Slowly, the community started noticing Marcus's quiet resilience. In these small moments, Marcus began to open up, sharing fragments of his past with Evelyn, the loss of Renee, the challenges of keeping the family afloat, and the fleeting moments of joy he found in small acts of kindness. Evelyn shared pieces of her own story, long hours on the road, the strain of caring for others, and the loneliness of traveling far from home. "I thought I was the only one carrying all the weight," she said softly. "You're not," Marcus replied. "Some days it feels like it, but you're never really alone." It was in this shared understanding that trust began to blossom. Just as the bond between Marcus and Evelyn deepened, life threw a curveball. A notice arrived in the mail: overdue property taxes on Marcus's small home. If he didn't pay within 30 days, the house and the shed, where he had spent countless hours working, would be repossessed. The news hit Marcus hard. He had been barely managing, relying on sporadic repair jobs to cover daily expenses. The thought of losing the home where his children had memories of their mother, where he had poured his sweat and love into every repair, was devastating. "We'll figure something out," Evelyn said gently, when he confided in her that evening. "I don't know if anyone can," Marcus admitted, voice heavy with fatigue. "Even you." Meanwhile, some neighbors who had previously offered cautious support now voiced doubts. "Be careful trusting strangers," one murmured. "You don't know her intentions." The skepticism added tension, planting seeds of doubt in Marcus's mind. Evelyn faced her own challenges. Her work schedule was relentless, and her commitment to helping Marcus risked her professional responsibilities. There were moments when she questioned if she could maintain her support. "I want to help, but I can't solve everything," she admitted to a friend. Marcus, too, struggled. The weight of pride and fear of dependency made him hesitant to accept help, even from someone he trusted. But he realized that continuing alone could cost his home and his family's stability. Marcus wrestled with pride. "I've always fixed things myself. I can't let someone else save me," Evelyn gently countered. "Sometimes letting someone help isn't weakness. It's trusting that kindness still exists." This conversation underscores the thematic heart of the story. Accepting kindness doesn't diminish character, it enables growth. The morning sun filtered through the cracks of Marcus's shed like a promise. Today wasn't just another day of patching engines. It was the day everything could change. Evelyn had organized a small network of helpers, friends, and professionals she knew from her travels. Some were mechanics, some were local business people, and a few were neighbors who had quietly observed Marcus's resilience. "We can't lose your home," Evelyn said, determination in her voice. Marcus looked at her, pride warring with relief. "I never imagined people caring this much." With their support, Marcus's home and shed were evaluated for emergency financial assistance. Mechanics offered tools and parts. Business owners pledged donations, and even the skeptical neighbors softened, pitching in wherever they could. In the shed, Marcus worked alongside others for the first time. Children ran around, laughter mixing with the metallic clangs of tools. Maya helped organize parts while Jordan eagerly handed bolts and wrenches to everyone. The air smelled of oil, wood, and hope. "I can't believe this is happening," Marcus whispered to Evelyn as they fixed a generator together. "Believe it," she replied. "You've already changed lives by just being you." The act of kindness that started on the roadside was now a movement of its own, a ripple effect that touched every corner of the small town. By mid-afternoon, Marcus had received the news. The financial assistance, combined with community contributions, was enough to secure his home. The shed was repaired and reinforced, now spacious enough for a proper workshop. Marcus could finally plan for the mechanic shop he had dreamed about years ago. But the transformation went beyond material change. Marcus's confidence grew. He no longer felt invisible. People recognized his skill and integrity. Evelyn, too, felt renewed, a reminder that small acts of kindness could catalyze enormous change. "You've done all this," Marcus said, looking around the repaired shed. Evelyn smiled. "No, we did this. You just needed someone to see you." The community gathered that evening for an informal celebration. Neighbors brought food, children ran and played, and adults shared laughter that had been scarce for months. Marcus stood in the center, smiling, realizing the true wealth in his life wasn't in money. It was in the network of support, trust, and compassion that now surrounded him. "I used to think surviving was enough," Marcus admitted in front of the small crowd. "Now, I see living and helping others is everything." The next morning, the convoy of 10 black SUVs appeared again. But this time, it was different. Marcus, now in clean overalls, stood at his driveway alongside Maya and Jordan. Evelyn stepped out of the first SUV, a broad smile lighting her face. Behind her, mechanics and community members arrived carrying tools, supplies, and congratulatory gifts. What had once been a moment of relief the day she was stranded was now a celebration of Marcus's skill, resilience, and the kindness he had first extended without hesitation. And Marcus, he realized he now had the power to give back, to start a chain of kindness himself. That same afternoon, a young driver stalled near his new shop. Without hesitation, Marcus walked over, tools in hand, ready to help. The cycle of compassion continued. Months after the events that changed Cedar Ridge, Marcus Hill's life had transformed in ways he never imagined. The small, leaning shed behind his yellow house had become a fully functional mechanic shop, complete with new tools, organized workstations, and a small customer waiting area. The shop sign proudly read, "Hill's Auto Repair, honest work, heartfelt service." Marcus moved with a quiet confidence. Now, gone were the constant worries about bills and repairs. In their place was a sense of purpose and pride. He still worked tirelessly, but now, he did so knowing his skill was recognized, appreciated, and capable of sustaining his family. Maya, now more independent and inspired, helped manage the front desk and learned basic mechanics under her father's guidance. Jordan, energetic and curious, often ran errands, fetched tools, or simply watched in admiration, absorbing life lessons in kindness and resilience. Evelyn remained a close friend and mentor. She visited often, sharing insights from her travels, and supporting Marcus in connecting with other opportunities to grow his business. Their bond had deepened into a friendship built on mutual respect, admiration, and shared humanity. Even the community had changed. The once skeptical neighbors now frequently came by, offering work, advice, or simple camaraderie. Cedar Ridge had learned that kindness and integrity were contagious. One man's quiet heroism had inspired a ripple effect that lifted more than just Marcus's family, it lifted the spirit of the entire town. This story is a reminder of the profound impact of human kindness. Marcus's choice to stop for a stranded stranger didn't just fix an engine, it ignited a chain of generosity, community, and hope. Acts of compassion, no matter how small, have the power to transform lives, build bridges between people, and create lasting change. Kindness doesn't require wealth or recognition. It requires courage, empathy, and the willingness to act even when it's inconvenient. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing.